Goal of sampling data is to accurately represent the population as best as possible. So suppose that I have all these pens that I use for teaching, and I want to know which pens work and which pens don't work. One thing that I can do is I could sample every single pen that I have up here and just test them to see if it works. If I'm testing every single pen, that's called a census. And that's the best way to collect data because you're sampling the entire population. There's no group that you're missing here. Now, the problem is if I didn't have like 10 or 12 pens here, if I had something like 12,000 pens, then that starts to get really cost and time consuming. So I'm going to be looking at two different methods, cluster and stratified, that I can use to sample these pens and show you the difference between them. So I've got our class definitions here on the side, and I want to start with cluster. Cluster is kind of nice because it's a fast way to collect data. This is when you're selecting all individuals from some of the randomly selected groups. So I'm going to write this down and I'm going to demonstrate what this does. So I've got all these different groups and they're already set up this way. So I'm going to grab one at random, one group. And I can test all of the pens in this group. And I can check to see if these four work. It looks like they mostly do. This last one, not so much. So when you are sampling all of the individuals from some of the groups, and the way that I remember cluster, this starts out with CUL, we're looking at a clump of data. Then you're doing a cluster sample. Now, a big pro for a cluster sample is that it's really fast to collect that information. I just got 4 samples all at once. A big downside is it doesn't have a lot of diversity. Maybe I'm using these special blue pins more than the other ones, so they tend to either be in better shape or lower shape because of that. Maybe there's something different going on with each of these other brands of pens. So if I wanted to see, well, what's going on inside of each of these groups, I might want to do something called stratified. Stratified is when you randomly sample some from each of the groups. Now, plus side, way more diversity. I've got one of each brand, nice. Downside, even just picking up the pens, that took me a little bit longer to do that. So stratified, this is where you have some from all groups. This is typically more diverse, but it takes longer to get it. We'll see as we continue out the term that all of these data collection methods have pros and cons to them. Cluster, really fast. Stratified, diverse. Fast is a good quality, diverse is a good quality. Hopefully we can find combinations that have both of these things in them. And I would encourage you to start to think about how you might collect data for your upcoming research projects.